In this video, I'll be reviewing F-Zero for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. F-Zero came out originally in Japan in 1990, but it made its way to North America in 1991 and then Europe in 1992. It more or less kickstarted the whole futuristic racing genre. Now, if you're watching this video because you're wondering whether you should buy F-Zero for yourself or not, the answer is definitely yes, because F-Zero is a good game at a pretty fair price. Now, it does have a couple small flaws, but they're worth overlooking, and I'd say F-Zero is one of my favorite games, and is probably my favorite racing game to race single player. F-Zero's story goes something like this. The year is 20XX. Everyone plays Fox. Sorry, wrong game. The year is 2560. Earth has benefited tremendously from trade and technological advances with alien life from across the universe. However, multi-billionaires who made their money from such exchanges desire a new form of entertainment, so they decide to hold a galactic Grand Prix. Merchant trusted the chance to turn almost uninhabitable regions of the universe into racetracks floating 300 feet in the air, while new machines developed for the race, capable of reaching almost 300 miles per hour and hovering a foot off the ground using magnetic technology. Winning this race means the highest honor one can achieve in the universe, at least according to the manual. Even though most reviews don't start with this category, my favorite part about F-Zero is the music. The consistency of the soundtrack's quality is amazing. I invite you to look up the OST for yourself on YouTube and take a listen to some of the tracks, because they're just that good. The music also complements the game really well. I can't really imagine the Mute City theme in a Mario game or even another racer. It just sort of fits, and the other tracks fit pretty well also. Even from the beginning of the game, the music on the title screen gives off a great first impression. Gameplay-wise, F-Zero is your standard racing game, but it feels faster than most of them that I've played. There are lots of course hazards and features such as ramps, landmines, magnetic rails, and even some courses have wind, but you won't find any huge deviation from the genre. The controls are pretty simple. D-pad is steering and controlling how high you jump off of ramps. B is acceleration, Y is brake, A is superjet, basically turbo, more on that later, and L and R can be used to lean the F-Zero machine one way or another, which is useful for turning. Your F-Zero machine has a certain amount of health or power in the game, which you lose by crashing into the walls of the track or other racers. Once your F-Zero machine's power is fully depleted and you take another hit, you lose, and also perish in a giant fireball. But more importantly, to the game anyway, you lost the race. But fear not, because if your F-Zero machine is not at full power, driving over a pit row, basically these little repair strips on the track, will restore power. Every race has 5 laps. At the end of each lap, you're expected to be above a certain place, with that place getting higher and higher after each successive lap, culminating in 3rd place or higher to finish the race. If you are above the safe place, you get a superjet. Think super mushrooms from Mario Kart, to be used whenever you want and can keep 3 superjets in reserve at a time. You also start the game with 2 extra lives, and lose one every time you crash or fail to place high enough at the end of a lap. You can also earn an extra life by gaining enough points. Points are earned by finishing laps in races. The higher you place, the more points you earn. There are 4 playable F-Zero machines. The Blue Falcon, a fairly average, good for beginners machine, driven by the main protagonist, Captain Falcon. The Golden Fox, a machine with great acceleration but the weakest body in the game, meaning it can be destroyed fairly quickly if you're not careful. The Wild Goose, the toughest machine in the game, with poor acceleration and high top speed. And finally, the Fire Stingray, which has the highest top speed but worst acceleration in the game. F-Zero is a tough game to beat. One wrong move can easily ruin the race for you, and it's very frustrating to get to the 3rd or 4th course in a league on expert difficulty, miss one dash zone, get hit by another racer into a wall, and watch as they pass you, knowing there's now no way to finish the race. I've had the game a while and still have a hard time beating some of the tracks even on beginner. The game's just brutally difficult, especially the very aggressive, or more like downright vicious AI, which are very good about not letting you pass them. So the best thing to do is get in first and do your darndest to stay there for the rest of the race. That means nailing every turn, hitting every dash zone, and using superjets to their fullest potential, especially in expert difficulty where one must be close to perfect to even get 3rd place and advance to the next race. Graphically, the game looks pretty good, especially for a game that made its worldwide debut in 1990 and is a launch title for the Super Famicom, or a Super Nintendo outside of Japan. The 3D effect is actually an illusion. The game is merely utilizing Super Nintendo graphics mode, Mode 7, to scale and rotate the background. Meanwhile, the F-Zero machines are 2D sprites, which have many variants of different sizes and perspectives, which the game switches in and out depending on how close the player is to them and what part of the vehicle should be visible to them. I imagine F-Zero was very graphically impressive almost 27 years ago when it came out, but I'm too young to know myself. I like the look of F-Zero. The courses are bright and colorful with a futuristic sort of neon look. However, the look of each course still varies, from the tropical paradise that is Big Blue to the Tatooine-like sand ocean to the volcanic fire field. I also like the look of the little individual features of some courses. For instance, the orange and purple sunset of Silence with some moon or planet in the sky. For 1990, the game just looks incredible. However, F-Zero has its flaws like any other game, and it wouldn't be a very good review if I didn't address them. F-Zero's biggest fault is how it lacks replayability. Yes, it's downright unforgiving in difficulty, and even beating courses on beginner can be quite a challenge and will require many hours put in the game to even get decent at it. But there's nothing really to do aside from Grand Prix and time trials in practice mode, the latter of which doesn't even include all the tracks in the game. Included in this lack of replayability is the lack of multiplayer. Not many home console racing games are single player only, and for good reason, because multiplayer can really add a lot of replayability to any game. I do think the developers probably had a good reason to leave multiplayer out though. Maybe the Super Nintendo just wasn't powerful enough to support 2 players at once, or maybe it obscured players' views too much and they couldn't see upcoming turns until it was too late. We don't really know. Additionally, the only unlockable is a harder master difficulty when Expert is beaten. No new tracks, no new F-Zero machines, just a harder difficulty. Once again, I don't really blame the developers though. The game was probably made under a pretty strict time limit to meet the Super Famicom's launch. But still, a couple of unlockable characters with their own F-Zero machines would have been nice. In conclusion, F-Zero is a fast, fun racing game for the SNES that firmly established the futuristic racing subgenre. Graphically, the game isn't Forza, but okay, especially for a Super Famicom launch game, and it's pretty unique looking. It also features some of the best video game music of all time. On the negative side, however, the game relies heavily on difficulty for replay value, and has no unlockable vehicles or courses, nor multiplayer. However, those problems are easily able to be looked past, and when you do, you'll find F-Zero is a very enjoyable game, and a must-have for any Super Nintendo owner.
On the North American Super Nintendo, F-Zero will run you about $15 for a loose cart. However, if you have a Super Famicom or a North American SNES you're not afraid to physically modify by cutting away a couple pieces of plastic on the inside of the cartridge bay, then you can buy the Japanese version of F-Zero, which is a fraction of the price of the English version and entirely in English. If you don't have a Super Nintendo, you can buy F-Zero on the Wii, Wii U, or new Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console for $7.99. I hope you enjoyed this review, and thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.